Volkswagen lied to the world, and it nearly ended them. In 2015, the car giant got caught in one of the biggest corporate scandals ever, a betrayal so massive it shook the auto industry to its core. They called it Dieselgate, and it wasn't just about cars. It was about trust, greed, and a cover-up that cost billions. How did a brand known for reliability fall so hard? And could they ever climb back? Stick around because this story's got more twists than a soap opera, and you won't believe what they did to hide the truth. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. Volkswagen was riding high. The German automaker was a global powerhouse, churning out millions of cars, from zippy Golfs to sleek Audis. Their big pitch? Clean diesel. They marketed their TDI engines as the perfect combo. Fuel-efficient, eco-friendly, and powerful. It was a dream for drivers and, supposedly, the planet. VW was selling green vibes hard, with ads showing happy families cruising through forests, their diesel cars puffing out nothing but good intentions. But here's the kicker. It was all a lie, and someone was about to blow the whistle. By 2014, a small group of researchers at West Virginia University, nobody's idea of corporate watchdogs, started testing VW's diesel cars. They weren't even looking for fraud. They just wanted to study emissions. But their results? Shocking. VW's cars were pumping out up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides, a pollutant that's bad for your lungs and the environment. These clean diesels were anything but. The researchers scratched their heads. Was it a glitch, a bad batch, or something way darker? Spoiler, it was darker. But how did VW pull this off for so long without anyone noticing? Here's where it gets wild. Volkswagen didn't just mess up, they cheated. Engineers at VW had installed something called a defeat device in millions of cars. This was no innocent software bug. It was a deliberate piece of code that could detect when a car was being tested. During emissions tests, the car would switch into a squeaky clean mode, passing with flying colors. But on the road, it was a different story, spewing toxic fumes like there was no tomorrow. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated scam. And the big question is, who knew about it? Was it a rogue engineer? Or did the rot go all the way to the top? In September 2015, the hammer dropped. The US Environmental Protection Agency blew the lid off Dieselgate, accusing VW of violating the Clean Air Act. The news hit like a tsunami. Volkswagen's stock plummeted 20% overnight. Customers felt betrayed, dealers were furious, and regulators worldwide started sniffing around. VW had sold 11 million cars with defeat devices, not just in the US, but across Europe, Asia, everywhere. The scandal was global, and the fallout was just beginning. But why would a company this big risk it all? Was it pure greed or something else? Let's talk motive. VW was under insane pressure. In the 2000s, they set a wild goal: become the world's #1 car maker, overtaking Toyota. Diesel was their secret weapon. In the US, where diesel cars were a tough sell, VW's clean TDI engines were supposed to win over skeptical buyers. But there was a problem. Making a diesel engine that was powerful, efficient, and clean was crazy expensive. VW's engineers couldn't crack it, not legally anyway. So instead of admitting defeat, they cheated. It was a shortcut to glory, and it worked, until it didn't. But here's the real head-scratcher. How did they think they'd get away with it? The fallout was brutal. VW faced fines, lawsuits, and a PR nightmare. In the US alone, they agreed to pay $14.7 billion to settle claims. Chump change for some, but a gut punch for VW. Customers got buybacks or repairs, but the damage to the brand was deeper. VW wasn't just a car company. It was a symbol of German engineering, precision, trust. Now it was a punchline. Social media lit up with memes, VW logos photoshopped onto smokestacks, hashtags like #Dieselgate trending worldwide. And the hits kept coming. VW's CEO, Martin Winterkorn, stepped down, insisting he knew nothing. But did he? Or was he just the fall guy? Now let's zoom out. Dieselgate wasn't just VW's mess. It exposed cracks in the whole auto industry. Regulators started testing other car makers, and guess what? They found issues at Fiat, Renault, even Mercedes. None were as blatant as VW, but it showed how loose oversight had been. Car companies were gaming the system, exploiting loopholes, and regulators were asleep at the wheel. Dieselgate became a wake-up call, but at what cost? For VW, the price tag kept climbing. $33 billion in fines and settlements globally, and that's before you count the lost sales and reputational hit. So, could they ever recover? Here's the crazy part. VW didn't just survive, they fought back. By 2017, they were pouring billions into electric vehicles, betting big on a post-diesel future. They launched the ID series, sleek, all-electric cars meant to scream, "We've changed." They even rebranded their image, pushing sustainability harder than ever. Irony alert. The company that faked being green was now trying to actually be green. But was it enough? Customers were skeptical, and trust is harder to rebuild than a car. Yet VW's sales started creeping back up. By 2020, they were neck and neck with Toyota again. How'd they pull it off? Part of it was strategy. VW didn't just apologize, they acted. They recalled millions of cars, fixed what they could, and paid up without much whining. They also leaned into transparency, sort of. New leadership, like CEO Herbert Diess, admitted the company's culture had been toxic, too focused on winning at all costs. They vowed to change, and while some called it lip service, others bought it. VW also got lucky. The world was moving away from diesel anyway, and their pivot to EVs came at the perfect time. But there's a lingering question. Did anyone really pay the price for Dieselgate? This is where it gets messy. Sure, VW paid billions, but who went to jail? In the US, a few engineers got prison time, small fish mostly. In Germany, where VW's headquartered, it's been trickier. German law makes it hard to pin corporate fraud on individuals, so top execs like Winterkorn faced charges but no real consequences. Winterkorn settled for a $13 million fine. Pocket change for a guy like him. Critics screamed slap on the wrist, while VW insisted they'd cleaned house. It left a sour taste. The little guys took the fall while the big shots skated. Does that sound fair to you? Let's talk legacy. Dieselgate changed the game. It killed diesel's reputation. Sales of diesel cars in Europe, once 50% of the market, crashed and never recovered. It also tightened emissions rules worldwide, making it harder for car makers to cheat. But for VW, the scar remains. Even today, mention Volkswagen, and someone's bound to whisper Dieselgate. Yet, they're still here, still selling millions of cars, still chasing that top spot. It's a comeback story, but a complicated one. Can a brand ever fully wash off a stain like that? So, what's the takeaway? Volkswagen's scandal wasn't just about cars or emissions. It was about what happens when ambition outruns ethics. They gambled big, got caught, and paid a historic price. But they also showed how a company can claw its way back, even when the world's ready to write them off. It's a story of hubris, betrayal, and redemption, with lessons for every business out there. Oh, and one last thing. Do you trust Volkswagen after Dieselgate? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get that conversation going. Thanks for watching and keep hustling.